I should have learned by now during this time that if you don't unmute your microphone, nobody can hear you. So good evening. My name is Tom Delahunt, and I'm the Vice President for Enrollment here at Southwestern University. Thank you for joining us this evening. It's great to have so many of you on here with us. I can tell you that after doing this job for over 30 years now, I've never ever moderated a two-president panel online during a pandemic. So this is a first for me as well. I hope that you and your families and your loved ones have made it through these unprecedented times unscathed. And I hope you are as excited to be joining us soon as we are to have you back on campus. Tonight, you're going to get an opportunity to hear from not one, but two presidents. And I am thrilled to have both Dr. Dale Noble and Dr. Laura Trombley here with us this evening. When they are done speaking, I am going to open it up for question and answers. I see that one of you has already learned how to use the question and answer tab. It's at the bottom of the screen, and you can feel free to ask us questions there that we will then queue up and answer later in the program. So without further ado, let's get started. I'm going to introduce to you our current president, Dr. Dale Noble. Dr. Noble began his career just a couple of years ago as an undergraduate student himself at Yale University. And then continued his advanced degree work at Northwestern University. As a young faculty member, moved to Texas A&M, where he was quickly named Distinguished Faculty Member of the Year and became Director of their Honors Program. At about that time, Southwestern stole him away. And Dale and his wife Tina moved over to Georgetown, and Dale became Provost and Dean of our faculty, which prepared him for his next job, which was President of Denison University. Dale spent 15 years as president at Denison. And upon his retirement, he and his wife loved Georgetown so much, they decided to retire back here to Georgetown. And we were thrilled to have him back in our community. We quickly grabbed him up, made him a member of our Board of Visitors and our Board of Trustees. And this past fall, when Dr. Berger announced his resignation, Dale was the obvious choice for us to ask him to lead us through the transition to Dr. Trombley. Little did Dale know that they'll know at that time that the transition would include a pandemic. But we are thrilled that Dale has been captain of our pirate ship through these last few months. He has been the right guy for us at this time. We love his leadership and thrilled and honored to introduce him to you this evening. So without further ado, Dr. Dale Noble.
Tom, thanks for the introduction. It'll be my honor in a few minutes to introduce Laura Trombley, the 16th president of Southwestern. They're calling me 15.5, I understand. So I wear that badge with honor. It's been my pleasure to serve this year, unusual though it's been. You know, this is a time of year when my message is the same, whether it's an unusual year or a usual year. As I wander our campus at this time of year and look at the attractive buildings and the beautiful tree-lined vistas, look at the burbling fountains and listen to the birds of the tree. I think what a wonderful park-like environment it is. But something's missing. It's the secret sauce. It's our students. And so it's really exciting for me to have the opportunity to visit with some of you tonight, because you're the ones who will come this fall and change everything and be the heart and soul of Southwestern, to be those that interact with one another and interact with our faculty, and that's what makes for the education of all. So it's really exciting to be with you. This is an unusual year, but I'm a historian, and I realize that Southwestern has dealt with some unusual times before. I was reading some of the history of the college recently, which I've gotten to know pretty well over time. You know, I'm reminded that the earliest students at Southwestern were busy defending the college and its predecessor colleges. Southwestern grew out of 4 early Texas colleges that joined together. The earliest ones needed to be defended from marauding bandits, from Native Americans who, not without justice, believed that the land was theirs. When the college finally moved to Georgetown in 1873, it was disrupted by the first of the great cattle drives that drove down the main street of Georgetown, Austin Avenue. Suddenly 35,000 head of cattle ran over everything. And then in the early 20th century, some of the college's closest supporters tried to close it up, box up the library, and move the whole place lock, stock, and barrel to Dallas because they believed that Georgetown and even Austin were a little too provincial for a modern college. It survived all of those challenges, and so it's no wonder to me that we survived the challenge provided by the coronavirus this spring. In fact, we probably survived it better than many places because we could alter our pedagogy so easily because faculty and students know one another so well on our campus. Classes are small and participatory, and students and faculty have great confidence in one another. And so pivoting from in-person instruction to online instruction was pretty easy to do. Everyone knew one another, everyone knew what to expect from one another. And so we were able to successfully complete the education of those who are graduating seniors and to move those who are their first, second, and third years onto the year that lies ahead of them. So it's been a challenging year, but one in which I think we've triumphed over the challenges placed before us. We've been spending a lot of time in the last few weeks thinking about what's next. We know two things. One is that we are by nature a residential undergraduate college of the liberal arts and sciences. Southwestern University has been that for a very long time. We know who we are, and we understand that education is something that goes beyond the classroom, that takes place in the residence halls and student organizational life, in athletics and the fine arts. We know that an education that Southwestern students receive is not something delivered by the faculty, but something engaged in between students and faculty. And consequently, we'd love to get back onto our campus, but we want to do so with safety, preserving the health of all. And so we've devoted these last few weeks to thinking about how we can do both. And we've decided that we can do both. And so we will be reopening on the campus. We never really close, but we'll bring everybody back to the campus for a start on August the 24th, our long time advertised start date for instruction on the campus. We are going to make some changes. One has to do with the calendar. We're going to adopt the calendar that many colleges and universities have chosen for this fall that will have us complete on-campus classes before we get to Thanksgiving. And we'll be able to finish the semester, the reading period and the exams that follow remotely once we've returned home safely after Thanksgiving. But the weeks of instruction will be just about as usual between late August and late November. And so we think this is a good method of getting our students through the material that they need to accomplish to build the campus community. We also know that during this time period, we're going to be operating a little bit differently than usual because we do want to protect everyone's health. We are going to be practicing social distancing on the campus. That will have to do in some cases with the density of classrooms or the density of dining halls. We know that we're going to wear masks to protect one another. We know we're going to engage in personal and community sanitation activities that try to preserve, again, the health and the safety of all. So it will be normal in so many ways, and it'll be different in so many ways. But the thing that gives me confidence about it is this is a place where people care about one another. And this seems entirely natural to me, that we should care about one another through this time period. I know you may have questions about how we're going to proceed, and I'll be prepared to answer those as we get to the question and answer session. But I want to turn the baton over for a moment to our 16th president, Dr. Laura Trombley. I'm excited about her arrival for a lot of different reasons. She'll be with us in just a little over a month. Dr. Trombley comes to us after serving as president of the University of Bridgeport, an urban university in Connecticut. She preceded that by serving as the president of the Huntington Library in Pasadena, California, one of the great research libraries in our country, which is also associated with a wonderful botanical garden. If you haven't been to Pasadena, you should get there when you can and visit the Huntington Library and Botanical Gardens. And she came to that after having served 13 years as the president of Pitzer College, one of the great liberal arts colleges that's part of the Claremont collection of colleges in Southern California. She's a noted scholar of the life and literature of Mark Twain. And it doesn't surprise me that she wound up in Connecticut, where Twain made his home. in Hartford for so many years in the latter part of his life after he gained much fame and some fortune. She comes as both a scholar and an academic leader. She's widely known among folks that I've associated with in higher education. She'll bring to us a confidence in leadership, but also a keen attention to students. She's the mother of a brand new college graduate herself. She knows what being a student's all about from firsthand experience. She knows what a challenging year this has been for our college students. And she's a scholar. She understands what our faculty are trying to achieve as teacher scholars. And so, Dr. Trombley, I'd like to introduce you as our 16th president, and I'd let you say a little bit about yourself. Laura?
Thank you so much, Dale, for that generous introduction. And I'm thrilled to be here with you. And I'm currently at the Center for Mark Twain Studies in Elmira, New York. And I have the privilege of staying in the same home where Mark Twain wrote most of his classic works of fiction. And I'm thrilled to be joining you. And first, let me congratulate all of you students on clearly excellent decision-making skills by choosing to come to Southwestern University. And I'm really excited about the fact that we will all be first-year students together here. I am going to be having my freshman year with you, and I'm honored to be part of an institution that has such an incredible history and has also really set the standard for the study of the liberal arts in the great state of Texas. As Dale was telling you, I have had a fairly long career as an administrator in higher education, although I started at Pepperdine University when I was fairly young, and I had the great experience of being instructed by extraordinarily talented faculty who brought me into their world, who took the time to get to know me, to encourage me, to push me sometimes when I thought that I had limitations that they didn't see. And I know the power of the liberal arts and the care that comes with excellent faculty and how that is transformative. And I have been at several different institutions. However, quite frankly, Southwestern University was the institution I'd always dreamed of joining. What Southwestern does, which is so special and frankly unique in higher education, is that it truly and deeply cares about the whole person. Yes, we are an academically demanding institution with faculty who are teacher scholars, yet we also want to see students develop outside the classroom. So in addition to our Paideia program, which enhances one's interdisciplinary studies, we have the Mosaic program where we are really working on the holistic development of you. We want you to emerge from your Southwestern experience as a student who has acquired an enormous amount of context and skills, so they don't only understand the world better, but they are best positioned to make their mark in the world, to create a legacy that they will be proud of. And this is a time more than ever that I have ever seen in my lifetime where the liberal arts are more needed than ever, because someone has to make sense out of this new reality that we are all entering. And there is no institution better positioned to do that than Southwestern University. We're going to be looking at not just the world as it is or as it was, but the world that we want to create together. I'm a big believer in community, and I come from a family of teachers. Everyone in my family has been a teacher, and I know the power that comes with instruction and how you create a positive ripple effect that goes far beyond your imagination. I won't be teaching this first semester, but I do plan on teaching while I'm at Southwestern because it's the most fun that I can possibly imagine. I love to do research. I love working with students. And most of all, and most importantly for me and my family, I love being part of an academic community. It really is my home. And in just a few short weeks, my son, who is going to become, knock wood, very, very soon, a college graduate. We will be packing the car and traveling from Connecticut to Texas with our 3 cats and bulldog puppy to come and join the community there. We plan to actually document this trip. We'll be on the road for a week, so you can look for some blogs and some photographs coming your way. And I know that this is an unusual way to meet. I understand that. But this is going to be the first of many, many conversations that we are going to have. And parents, let me just congratulate you. You're obviously incredibly caring and talented parents, because you now raise children who have been admitted to Southwestern University. And I know and understand that you're going through a real rite of passage yourself. As a mother, I understand the emotions that you're feeling right now. I had the same when I said farewell to my son and he joined the community at Union College. And just know that Southwestern is here for you, has a wonderful parents association, and we want you to play an active role as well. And so I look forward to meeting all of you on campus and to welcoming you students. I'll be visiting you. You'll be visiting me in the President's House, and I can't wait for this very unusual but very special year to begin.
Well, thank you both, Dr. Noble and Dr. Trombley. Now, I see that we have 80 participants right now, actually 81 participants in our group this evening, but only a few questions have been asked so far. So I'm going to ask you to think, I know these students are really engaged, so I'm hoping you're going to engage these 2 presidents when you have this opportunity tonight. The first question might have already been answered a little bit, but I'm going to ask it anyway, and let Dale expound on it a little bit. First question is, what is the backup plan in case that Southwestern cannot reopen this fall due to COVID-19?
Yes, that's a really good question. You have to have a backup plan, maybe 2 or 3. If the disease environment or the regulatory environment would change in a way that made it impossible to start on campus, we have alternate plans to offer instruction remotely, as we did this spring. In fact, we think we can use the experience of this spring to improve upon it. This was a new venture for many of our faculty, and they stepped up to the plate and did some really unusual and innovative things. In fact, some things that I think they want to borrow for the future. But they can improve upon that experience now that they've had it. And we're going to be having workshops with faculty throughout the summer as they prepare to have a plan B.
Great. Dale, there's another sort of a follow-up question along those lines that I'm going to jump to that just came in. If you don't mind going over the arrangements for opening up again, how we're going to end the term in November. And then the second part of that question is, can you how sports will be handled, if we haven't answered to that yet?
How what will be handled, Tom?
How sports, athletic
Okay.
contests will be handled.
Yeah, let me go to the calendar issue first. Our original planned start date was always August the 24th, and we will stick with that. We will not observe a fall break period, as we often have in recent years, nor will we take off Labor Day. We think it's best to keep everybody on campus rather than going to and fro in this environment. And by doing that, we are able to pick up some instructional days as well. And that allows us to be substantially done with instruction by the time we leave for Thanksgiving break, what would normally be Thanksgiving break. We can't get exams in, we can't get a reading parade, and we might even want a few days of remote instruction to follow Thanksgiving, depending on the course. So that's still to be determined. But we would be done then by early December with everything. But we'd be off campus from late November until the middle of January, where we will resume the second semester on schedule. Athletics is something we're working on with our partners in our athletic conference. Actually, we're in 2 conferences, one conference for most of our sports and a second conference for football. We're also working with the NCAA. So at this point, we need some guidance. We need to understand what the schedules are of the other teams in our conference. It's likely that if we can conduct fall sports, they'll be on some kind of a compressed schedule that probably functions within the conference, probably cuts out non-conference activity, and probably has some kind of a more limited playoff experience at the end. But we don't honestly know that yet. because we think that athletics is an integral part of a Southwestern experience for so many of our students, we'd like to do what we can, but it'll be in concert with our partners in the conference and in concert with the NCAA.
Thanks, Dale. Again, this is another, I'm gonna stick to some of the COVID questions early, and we'll transition a little bit later on. This is a question comes in, it says, a bit of a mundane question, but should my student pack masks, or will the university provide them?
I'd say both. We'd like to provide pirate masks for everybody. Seems appropriate, and I think we will. And we will have masks on campus, but we also encourage people to have them because you may be going off campus, you may want them. So not a requirement. We'll have masks on campus. One of the things that we're accumulating right now, I just learned what the cost of a barrel of hand sanitizer costs. So, we're buying hand sanitizer by the 50-gallon barrel right now, and masks by the 1,000.
There are a few questions, more than a few questions, that are asking about how we're going to enforce social distancing. Dale, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about our campus readiness task force and the work that we're doing.
I think enforce probably isn't the right word. It's probably to encourage and count upon the will of the community to look out for one another. Southwestern has a great tradition of that. And we're going to give every encouragement to people to observe social distancing. Some means laying out the campus a little differently. We are going to reduce the density of classrooms. In some cases, that means taking classes out of what had been a conventional classroom and moving them into a larger space where they can be more spread out. We're working with our dining vendor, Sodexo, that students will pick up their meals and be able to eat in our dining facility, but in a spread out sort of way, the same way that restaurants in many states, including Texas, are operating at 25 or 50% capacity. We won't be able to have large gatherings, we believe, early in the fall, and so there won't be the kind of large gatherings that you might expect on a college campus. And we'll be working with student activities to ensure that students also observe social distancing norms. So I think it's a matter of norming. What do we expect of one another? And how do we educate all of our community to observe those norms?
Thanks, Dale. Laura, this is a question I'm going to lob to you. It probably isn't fair, but I'm going to ask you anyway. As a recent parent of a college student, this parent asks, as a parent, I'm concerned about dorm safety and the infectious nature of COVID-19. And I think as a parent, you probably can relate to the concerns that the parent has and what we'll be doing going forward.
Well, I've been dealing with this situation at the University of Bridgeport, and in addition to my son, I've seen it both from the parental and the administrative perspective. And there's nothing more important than the safety and health of everyone who is part of our university community. So to that end, we will have, as Dale was saying, it's going to look a little differently, but we will have hand sanitizer, we will have masks, we will be taking temperatures. We're going to be doing special training for our RAs so that they can help students understand the kinds of expectations we have in terms of social distancing. Yes, we will be doing extra work to make sure that all surfaces are cleaned and sanitized before any students arrive on campus. And we're going to be going through all of our buildings on a rapid basis throughout the fall semester to keep them sanitized and clean. We're going to be talking to students about not just social distancing on campus, but of course students will be going off campus and they'll be coming back on campus and how they need to protect themselves while they are off campus. This is very uncertain territory right now, and we're all feeling our way through it. But I also think what's important is to understand that this is going to be transitory. This isn't going to last forever. That's why it's really important for us to come together, to work collaboratively, and we are going to see this time pass. But in order for it to do so, we all have to be careful, we have to be safe, and we have to actually understand and practice the kinds of expectations that we have for all Southwestern students to respect themselves and each other.
Tom, if I could jump in, Laura put her finger on something I think important. We're pleased that the overwhelming majority of Southwestern students do live on the campus, because we think that the bigger danger is in the coming and going. The possibility of infection comes from the outside, and that actually by keeping our community together on the inside on our campus, we think people are safer. So we think that will hold true in our residence halls.
Thanks, Dale. So Laura, here's sort of a different direction question for you. What's the name of your puppy, and will we see your puppy on campus?
Her name is Miss Twinkles, and I expect you will see her everywhere on campus. And if there are any students here who enjoy spending lots of time with bulldog puppies and like to take them for walks, my dog is yours. He's a very high energy puppy.
That's great. We're looking forward to Twinkles on campus. Here's a question that I can answer. How large do we think the freshman class will be? Right now, we're thinking probably about 370 or so first-year students will enroll. Similar number to a number we had a few years ago. The last couple of classes have been a little larger than that. But this also goes to some of the other questions that you've asked. How full will the residence hall be? Our residence halls will be full. We had a waiting list of about 60 students, upperclassmen who want to live on campus. So if we're a little short on the first-year class, we will backfill with our upperclassmen who would like to live on campus as well. Here's a question. Are students going to have to wear masks at all times?
We're certainly going to encourage it as students leave their residence hall rooms and move about the campus, whether it's in class or in dining halls or student organizational life. Personal spaces can be treated differently. And we're still working out the mechanics of all of this, but that's the sort of general principle that we're observing right now.
Great. Let's see, here's another question here. I think I answered the question about the residence halls. The dorms will be full. Will you provide regular cleaning services to ensure that the dorm bathroom areas are clean in this area of COVID-19? I will answer that one. Yes, we will. I don't know if you heard a few minutes ago when Dr. Trombley was speaking, but there was a noise outside of my office door. I had to get up and close the door. They were spraying down our office. Our facilities team is on it right now. They are in our spaces, our faculty, staff, and student spaces all the time, and they will be making sure that we are clean. We had a long meeting yesterday about how our facilities can order enough materials and supplies to make sure that we can accurately clean to the best of our ability against and protect our students, faculty, and staff against this virus. Dale mentioned that there will be some protocols in place, everything from social distancing to hand sanitizer everywhere. You won't be able to walk about 10 steps without finding a dispenser. And so that is to make sure that everybody is keeping not only themselves safe, but those around them safe, our faculty, staff, and students alike, and in the greater Georgetown community. We have to keep them in mind as well, as they are on our campus often. Dale, there's a question here about social distancing with the fine arts, orchestra, choir, and band. Maybe you can talk a little bit about what you and Lisa have talked about.
We've been talking a lot about that. We believe that with instrumental music, it's fairly easy to provide social distancing. I think the bigger issue is with choral music, where singing has been identified by epidemiologists as one of those things that spreads particulates the greatest distance. We're trying to figure out whether we can move some of those classes to spaces where students are very far apart, or whether that's not possible at all. And it's quite conceivable that we'll have to make some alterations in the curriculum for this one semester. And there may be some courses that we defer till spring if we don't think that we can deliver them safely. So that's one that we're looking at very closely right now.
Dr. Trombley, here's a question specifically for you. President Trombley, welcome. Can you spend a bit more time talking about the value of a liberal arts education and the specific benefits this education provides in today's crazy world?
In today's crazy world. The benefits of a liberal arts education is that it provides you with a broad context. And so you can start actually making sense of the world in all of its different kinds of aspects and permutations. And so particularly at Southwestern, we don't see English as being separate in a different country from history or from economics or from the sciences. It's all one and the same, which is our reality in our world. And right now, as I think probably everyone here has noticed, is that we keep getting dispatches about the pandemic. We get a little bit coming from economists, we get a little bit coming from medical workers, a little bit coming from sociologists. So how do we actually make sense of what we're going to be inheriting? And what the liberal arts has done since the very beginning of the liberal arts is that it has provided context for students and has empowered students to go in deep. When they become really interested in a particular area, they have the ability not just to examine that area, but to also compare it to other areas, and then they can have they can grasp a greater understanding and meaning from that. Right now, I think education tends to be very siloed and very focused. And in moving forward in your life and in your professional career, what you will find is that you need to have a toolkit that is expansive. You need to have a portfolio of interests and the ability to look at things from different perspectives and also to understand how things actually work together. I've been doing a lot of reading these days, in part because I've been on lockdown in Connecticut since about March 10th, which has given me more time than I've ever had to actually sit and do reading. And what I'm seeing and what I actually think is relevant is that there will be major changes in what we do and how we practice and how we learn and how we actually work with each other in the future. And that is where I think we specialize in showing how you can create an integrated whole out of so many different kinds of data sets and creating a really comprehensive, holistic view of the world. The liberal arts, that's what we specialize in. That's why we are the best place, I think, right now for students to come and not just pursue their particular major or interest, but also right now, more than ever, to look at events that are happening globally and to have long and detailed and interesting and factual conversations about them.
Thank you, Laura. I think quite a few of the questions so far that we've had have come from parents. Here's one from a student, though, so I want to throw this one out there. And probably for you, Dale. How would you describe the freshman experience in terms of advising or any classes that I will be taking?
You know, at Southwestern, there's not the kind of radical division of first-year classes from upper division classes. All of our classes are small. All of them are highly interactive. All of them involve students taking a high degree of responsibility for their own education, for their participation in the class. I taught many years at large research universities. You could sit in the 35th row in my class, literally, and slink down and never be seen or heard from in the course of the semester. We don't have a 35th row in any class at Southwestern. We don't even have a 5th row in a lot of classes, probably most classes at Southwestern. They are like graduate seminars for undergraduates, in which students and professors are fellow explorers. And that will characterize your first year students, your experience, in the same way that it'll characterize your senior year experience. So the first year experience at Southwestern, I think, is a lot of getting to understand that, understand how classes work, understand what are the availability of opportunities outside of the classroom to learn and grow and make friends. And we have guides to help you make that journey.
Thanks, Dale. I'm going to combine a few questions here because I think they're all fairly similar. Have Have there been any COVID cases on campus thus far or in the community? Will parents be notified if there are COVID-19 cases on campus? And do we plan on testing?
So far, our community of about 14 or 1,500 students and 500 or so faculty and staff, so about 2,000. So far as we know, there have been no diagnosed cases of COVID-19. We'd like to keep it that way. Williamson County as a whole has a pretty low incidence, only about a quarter of the incidence of Travis County and Austin right nearby, and a very low rate of not just of infection, but a very small number of deaths as a result. Now, knock on wood, you don't know what the future is, but we are encouraged by the health of the community, both that of Georgetown and Williamson County and our own campus community. And we're going to do everything we can, again, to keep it that way. We work closely with the local health authorities. I was on the phone today talking with folks in the county, so I have a pretty good idea of what's happening there and how the county and our cities have responded.
Thanks, Dale. Here's a good question. Will faculty and administrators also model the social distancing and mask wearing as well?
You're actually seeing me in a rare moment when I'm not wearing a mask. I'm in upstate New York right now. And as I'm sure you are aware, New York is one of the hardest hit places. And I'm pretty much all alone here at the Twain Center. Normally I would be teaching classes and I would be giving lectures, but I'm here in effect self-quarantining. So it's interesting, and I've been really watching the news about what's happening in Texas and particularly Georgetown and Austin. And it has become honestly almost second nature to us because we've been going through it for so long. We have jars of hand sanitizer all over the house, in the car, we have gloves, we have masks, and it's just become part of our daily routine. So yes, you can expect to see me with my pirate mask on.
Thanks, Laura. Here's a great question. I did not get to visit campus this spring. Will I be able to make a visit anytime soon? I'll be happy to answer this question. Yes, actually, we are going to, probably over the weekend, we will open up our scheduling website. And starting on June 8th, we will be having visitors to campus. It will be in a limited case-by-case situation. We'll be limited to the size of the group that can be on tour, limited to the size of staff that we're bringing back as well. So if you are interested in coming to visit, please sign up quickly, because I know that those dates are going to go, those slots are going to go pretty quickly, because you're not the only one that didn't get to visit this spring. Not only do we have all of you admitted and deposited students who couldn't visit, but the rising juniors and even some rising seniors and rising juniors in your high schools also didn't get to visit. And so they are chomping at the bit to come visit us as well. So we'll do everything we can to open up. Again, the second week of June, we'll be here, and I look forward to seeing you on campus.
And bring your own mask, or Tom will give you one.
Thank you, Dale. Yes, mask will be required. So we will have masks if you forget to bring one, because you're required to wear a mask while you are here on our campus. There's been a number of questions about the residential life or dorm rooms, and so I'm going to try to put them all together for us now and maybe answer a bunch of them at this point. Yes, we still plan on having rooms at the capacity that they were built for, whether that's 2 or 3 students. You will still, or in some cases, you'll be in a quad, and those rooms are still set up to do that. We will be allowing students to leave campus. We will not be, just as our faculty and staff go home every evening and leave campus. So that will be happening. There's been some questions or concerns raised about what happens when students leave, and then they maybe don't take the social distancing so seriously when they're not on our campus, and when they come back, if they bring illness with them, what will we do? Well, there's a lot of plans in place right now, a lot of scenarios in place about what we will do, and we are hoping that none of that happens. But we know in this world right now, it's likely that someone in our community will eventually contact this virus, and at that point, we will go into whatever the next plan has to be to make sure we keep everybody else as safe and secure as possible. That is always our marching orders, to keep everybody in our community, faculty, staff, students in the Georgetown community, safe and out of harm's way. So I appreciate those questions. As a dad myself, I understand those questions. We're doing everything we can to keep your students safe from each other, from themselves maybe, and we will, as parents do sometimes. The question here, Dale, is about food. How will we deliver food on campus?
Yeah, we're working, as I mentioned, with our food service provider, Sodexo, who offers several different ways of doing it. We think that the way to do it is, we won't be having students going through a cafeteria line, as would be conventional. Rather, they'll have a chance to order a meal in advance online. That meal will be set out for them. They'll come through in a structured and distanced way and pick up their meal. We'll have the dining facility set up in such a way that students can be appropriately distanced with one another. We'll try to make it as pleasant as the experience as possible, but it'll be different for a short time, and we recognize that. So we're working out those details right now, but those are the outlines of what we're looking at.
Thanks, Dale. Here's a question about, there's a couple questions about move-in day and about all the details about whether or not we will have people there, volunteers there to help you move in, which we traditionally have done in the past. Will the times be staggered so that we can he'll have physical and social distancing during that as well? Will parents be allowed to help their students bring luggage up into the room? The answer to all of that is stay tuned. We are working on all of those things. Again, as Dale began this conversation tonight, we've just announced what our plan is about coming back on time. And so we are still working through over the next few weeks, working through some of the details that go along with that move-in time, what Welcome Week would look like, and what our beginning of school will look like. So please stay tuned. You'll be getting lots of information from our student life area and Vice President Jamie Woody on those matters as we go forward. Here's a question, Dale, probably for you. How do we get internships?
Well, we're big fans of internships, and a large proportion of Southwestern students have the chance to access internships. That has not abated during this time period. Now, there have been some employers who have not been able to offer internships for us during this spring, but we remain in contact with them. We've placed a number of students in internships for the fall already. That'll be introduced to you during the new student orientation period about how we connect with our internship supervisors on campus. So that goes forward, and we think it's an integral part of what it is we try to do at Southwestern, is try to integrate on-campus learning with practical expressions of that learning.
Here's a question for us. I'm not sure any of us have the answer to this. How will Greek life function?
Good question. It's part of the larger issue of how do student organizations of all kinds function. And our student life staff is going to have to be in close communication with student leaders and all kinds of organizations as we figure this all out. This is new territory for every college and university in the land. In some cases, we'll wind up being leader and people will borrow from us. In other cases, we'll borrow from other institutions. So it's a good question. It's one of those things we have to work on.
Since you mentioned that our semester will end at Thanksgiving break, will we be taking our finals for the fall semester at home?
Yes.
That was the answer of the night for you, Dale. That's great.
In many cases at Southwestern, and Laura knows this well from her experience as well, we often end with final papers and projects. Right. They're not always conventional exams, and they're unaffected by where one happens to be. Traditional exams will be taken remotely, which is easy enough to do. And so you'll have a mixture of both papers, projects, final oral exams, and then the more traditional written exams.
For Dr. Trombley, do you have any plans to add any new academic programs to Southwestern?
Not at this moment. What I want to do is really spend my time during this first year having lots of conversations with faculty and with students, and to hear from them what they find to be most important that currently is in existence, and what their hopes and dreams are, and what their aspirations are for the university. And I want to build on those. The curriculum that is currently being offered is, in my view, spectacular, and I've spent a great deal of time reading about the faculty, actually in many instances reading the work that they've published, seeing the kinds of classes that are offered. I think it's a very comprehensive and excellent program that is in place. But it is an organic issue. Institutions evolve. We are always thinking of what do we need to do next? Do we need to have a pandemic studies, which I can guarantee you there will be a journal at some university within 3 months. And so I like to actually listen to people. I like to have conversations with people, and we will be coming together to create a tactical plan for the university that likely will start going into the planning stage during my second year.
Thank you. This question is, what about study abroad options? Will they be available?
This fall, we've decided not to conduct our signature study abroad program, which is a London program that's conducted by 2 Southwestern faculty who accompany our students. That's our program. We're not going to try it this fall. We don't know what the travel environment will be. Other of our students take advantage of study abroad opportunities that are run by third-party providers. There are a number of reputable ones that we connect with. And we are talking with them individually, one by one, to see whether they're intending to conduct their programs or not. So my guess is that this is not going to be a attractive autumn for study abroad, but by the spring, we hope that those opportunities will resume. It's another important part of the experience for many Southwestern students.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a question, Dale, probably for you. Will there be any discounts on housing this fall?
We don't believe so. I mean, the only circumstance that would lead to that would be if we had to send students home, after 3 weeks of classes or after 4 weeks of classes, if we had to reproduce what happened this last spring. We did feel this last spring that we sent students home with about 40% of the semester left to go, that it was fair to return or to credit students for 40% of their room and board. Again, if we had to send students away, we would do the same. But since we're planning to get an entire semester's worth of work in towards a degree in this coming semester, we believe that we would charge our standard rates.
President Trombley, when you visited Georgetown, what did you like most about it?
The students. That's why I'm here. I love being around students, and I was really pleased that I had dinner with 20 student leaders and activists, and their enthusiasm and their love for the university and their expectations of themselves. That was exactly what I was hoping to hear. I also was incredibly impressed by the beauty of the campus, and also the fact that it is on the outskirts of a very exciting city. All of these things attracted me, and I also really enjoyed meeting members of the administration and, of course, the heart of the institution, the faculty. So I really see Southwestern University as the institution I've been aspiring to be part of throughout my professional career.
Thank you. Dr. Noble, you explained the plan for the fall. What is the plan for January? Will students be on campus or will they be remotely?
we have every anticipation that we'll have a even more normal spring. So our plan is to resume the second semester in January as it normally would, and be on campus through the spring. You know, as you all know from watching press reports, you know, there is a possibility of a resurgence of infection during the early winter period. We would hope that students being away from the campus from late November until the middle of January would allow us to bypass that period. And that's the hope of many colleges and universities. Once again, we don't know what the future holds, but we feel pretty strongly that spring semester will be a normal one. We'll probably still be making adjustments to keep people safe during that period as well, though.
I think if we've learned anything over the last 3 months is that we need to be flexible, agile, and ready to change course if the health of our community dictates it. And I'm sure we will continue to do that as we go into the fall. Which brings me to the next question here, probably for you, Dale. Will the guidelines in regards to masks and social distancing be adjusted as the semester progresses and evaluated for the spring?
Possibly. You know, that's one of those things we're going to have to play it. I think week by week. You know, I've since the beginning of March, Tom and I have been part of essentially a daily meeting of all of the senior leadership of the university, and we've never run out of things to talk about. And for the last several weeks, I've had a campus readiness task force made up of leaders from across the staff and across the faculty. They've been meeting daily with subcommittees daily, and they've had no end of things to talk about. Things are evolving so quickly that we have to be agile and resourceful, and who knows what the fall may bring. We'll adjust our practices on campus to fulfill our mission and keep people as safe as we possibly can.
Thanks, Dale. This question we might have answered already. It talks about will meal plans be altered to fit the shortened time on campus? I think you're asking about us stopping the semester at Thanksgiving break. So will meal plans be altered at all, Dale, because of that?
I think that's all being worked on is the answer. That's the honest answer.
I think that's the most transparent and fair answer we can give right now. I would say some of the questions that are along those lines, we are looking at it. Again, we made the announcement just tonight. You were the first to hear it, actually, from Dr. Noble earlier this evening. And we'll be letting out details as we define them over the next month or so. Here's a question, as we're getting near the end of our evening, there's a question here. My daughter is not very active on social media. Do you think that social media will be essential to integrate the first-year students prior to or in lieu of being on campus for orientation for the semester? That's a good question. So I'll jump in a little bit. I know that I've seen an uptick in our students on our social media sites. I live with a 15-year-old, so I know that he's been more on social media over the last 3 months as he's been quarantined with his mother and I over the last 3 months. It is becoming much more the norm. If they haven't already become active on social media, I probably would encourage it. I know that our students have had to learn how to use Zoom and various other platforms during this time to communicate. So I guess my answer, my opinion would be, yes, I think it would behoove your daughter to become more active on social media, learn how to navigate social media before she gets here. All right, as we get ready to wrap up, this is a fun question that I asked, that I left to the end on purpose. Does SU have a hand sign like the Longhorns do? Well, we all know what the Longhorns hand sign is, but I will tell you that, yes, we do. It's the pirate hook. So our hand sign, go Pirates. So yes, you can, all your friends who are flashing those horns around, you can flash the hook back at them anytime you want.
You'll learn all kinds of pirate talk after you come to Southwestern.
Yes, indeed. Here's a question. Are we provided with Wi-Fi in the dorms for such things as Zoom? And yes, you are. Yes, Wi-Fi is all over campus. We are actively improving it all the time. As we all know, with Wi-Fi, there's never enough bandwidth, especially when everybody is trying to Zoom at the same time. But our system is solid, robust, and strong, and continuing to improve. So yes, you will have Wi-Fi. Let's see here. I think we have time for another one. As I scroll through some of these, I think we've already answered. How does Southwestern's class compare to its peers in terms of size and credentials? Our size has been about the same for many, many years. We've been between 13 and 1,500 students for quite some time. We will continue to be in that neighborhood. In terms of academic quality, I'll stack our students up with anybody. As all of you should be proud to be a Southwestern Pirate. The incoming credentials of this class is the same as it has been for the past few years. On average, your high school GPA is almost a 3.6. And that's taking real classes with a lot of academic rigor, and we know that because that's what we look for in the application process. So you should be proud to be part of our community. And maybe the last question for this evening, besides, let's see, I got that one, we did that one. Oh, here's a good question, Dale. I'll leave this one with you. I've heard some talk at other schools about science classes not being offered. Is that going to be an issue at Southwestern?
You know, the issue of labs is an important one because it's not just the density of students in laboratories, but the fact they're using equipment and sharing equipment. And so we will have labs, but we're going to need to reduce the density in labs. That may mean that they're broken up into smaller sections. Some cases, there may be some laboratory courses that we choose not to offer this semester. We may double up on some labs in the spring. But there's a way of dealing with it, and we're working on it right now. And the science faculty obviously are probably most attuned to the safety issues related to laboratories. They're working on it.
Thank you so much, both of the presidents and all of the participants. We had over 80 people on this Zoom conference at one point. I think I still see 77 on our little ticker down there, which is wonderful. I want the folks, the parents and the students online, if you have more questions, please feel free to reach out to your admission counselor. We're here all the time. There's a chat. We have a chat function now on our website. So anytime during the day, you can reach out to one of the admission counselors. We'll be happy to help you through, even if we're not the ones that even if we're not the office you need to be talking to anymore. At this point, we're sort of handing you off to student life and academic advising and campus security and safety. We'll be happy to help you transition to the next group of people that will shepherd you through to your time here on campus. So please feel free to reach out. It's been wonderful, I suppose, meeting all of you this way, but I look forward again to seeing you all in person very soon. Thank you, Dr. Noble. Thank you, Dr. Trombley. Have a great evening, everybody.